Which one's the best? 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 What's the second best? There is no second best.
This is Discover Crypto. Every day on this channel, we teach you how to make money with crypto assets. TJ, I already don't like it. And I'm your host, DZ, here with TJ and Josh.
What's up?
We just teach you how to make money with Bitcoin and crypto, folks. We're going to talk about Ethereum hitting 5K. What does that look like? Is this going to happen in the near term, or is this something we got to wait for 2030 to happen? We're going to talk about Elon. Is he going to be deported by Donald Trump? And we got some major news with altcoin ETFs. The odds of them being approved just skyrocketed to 95%.
Oh, yes.
We're going to talk about which alts in particular. Josh, I heard you got one of those vlogs coming out tonight. Is that true?
Yeah, we got a few things happening. I did get hit by a wasp. This was crazy
you
last
did it.
night. Yeah, I got stung last night. That was
What
that
were
was
you
nice.
doing in the nighttime to be stung by a wasp? Were you climbing the
dude,
neighbor's tree again?
Just chilling. That's all that was happening. I was just walking on Woodstock and it just smacked me. But no, ultimately, I want to ask chat here. Do you believe Elon Musk should be deported? Yes or no? I gotta get it from the people. The people need to answer this question. Last night was this was a great weekend over here with trading. We've been pretty much breaking even, what's unfortunately because of the volatility that we've seen. But we're back in. We did just enter a Bitcoin trade this morning, hit 3% profit. It was up at 8%. We've moved the stop loss to 3% profit. Now I'm looking at Ethereum right here. I do think we're going to catch this E trade. I want to see this liquidation wiped out here at 24.19. So we're not quite at the range I'm comfortable entering just yet. That's primarily because I'm waiting for Bitcoin to get one last flash wick here.
Yeah, a little bit lower than those other wicks, right? Is that what you're kind of waiting for?
Exactly. So you could see how it pretty much is just like an unconfirmed order block that you want to see filled. So that way others are liquidated and you're not, and the price can move back up in the other direction. But this morning, which you already have it already pulled up, if you want to show a snippet of Jerome Powell is speaking this morning, guys. So it's been quite volatile the last hour and a half. But it's kind of like, I call it the DZ rule. It's like the 9:30 p.m. or 9:30 a.m. pump. It's like you have to try in the morning. We did catch it, but we were followed by a little whipsaw action here. And now we're just going to look to catch another trade here.
Yeah, we posted the Swede trade, and we'll get into that in a little bit. Yeah, looking at Bitcoin on the 1 minute, you can see, yeah, coming down pretty hard. Me and Josh were waiting for it to go a little bit below these ranges right here. And I'll go ahead and I'll throw $69 on a 69X if it dips down below. I already got a limit order set there.
Crazy.
So Bitcoin,
that's some Diddy action up there.
We're going to look at some major patterns on the 1 hour, and we're going to look at some major patterns on the 1 day chart as well. So if you're holding some Bitcoin, you're going to want to stick around for that. But right now, this is kind of what's happening. This is the one coin I held for 2 years, 3 months, 5 seconds after you sell. And folks, to me, this is Ethereum. The second you sell your Ethereum, it's going to act like this guy. TJ, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think people have been getting shaken out and washed out of their ETH for a while. You've heard so much ETH FUD. ETH is dead. It's never coming back. Solana, SWI, all these different things are replacing it. Yet I feel like not the only one. There's definitely some diehard ETH holders, but I feel like the only one out here on YouTube screaming like, no, this entire industry, like, it's basically all running through Bitcoin and Ethereum right now when it comes to actual use, actual users, actual value, actual applications. All these stable coins that are being created all run on Ethereum. All of these tokenizing the stock markets running on Ethereum. And I mean, really what happened yesterday, it was one of the biggest fundamental shifts maybe since the invention of Bitcoin. I mean, the invention of Bitcoin obviously fundamentally changed the world forever. But yesterday, for the first time ever, the U.S. stock market was open to anybody in the world 24/7. Somebody in Zimbabwe could have on their Solana wallet or on a Phantom wallet bought Tesla stock, however much they wanted to. Fractionalized shares of Tesla stock for the first time ever throughout history. Anytime 24/7, like that's going to rock futures markets. That's going to it's just the world has fundamentally changed forever. It was a shift in finance yesterday. And it's got me really, I mean, I woke up at like 4 this morning. I haven't slept. It's just like, it really is a crazy time to be in crypto. I mean,
Was it the markets or the baby?
It was the markets. It's crypto. It's me thinking about what's coming in the future. What really, like what happened yesterday really settling in. The stuff with stable coins, the stuff with the stock market. I mean, it really, you guys hear me say this a lot, that we're not bullish enough. This stuff's going higher, but it's really, I mean, it's, it's dropping right now, 105.9.
Yeah, I'm about to enter this. Well, not, I'm getting ready to enter this, chat. I'm getting ready to enter this.
But either way,
okay.
I'm blown away with the opportunity that's in front of us right now. Lock in, guys. You really are. We really are. If you think you missed it, you didn't. We're still in round one. This is like Facebook when they started opening up to non-colleges. Like that's, I feel like where we're at right now. We're very early.
Love it, love it. And I'm very early in this trade here, so we did jump in. We got our feet wet, and if we go down about 20%, we'll go ahead and close. So if you're wondering, I did get in. But again, we will cut and run if things start looking a little bit scary there.
Real quick, if you guys are trying to follow along with both Josh and DZ's trades, we do have a Discord that they're posting all of those in. I'll drop the link to the Discord. Josh is doing that 1K to GT3 challenge. And so that's going really well if you want to follow along with that. But DZ crushed it with a lot of calls actually recently. So guys got to get in there. We're making
wait till I show you the meme coin we talked about yesterday and how much it's up. But speaking of being up, Tom Lee from Fundstrat, he has some predictions for Ethereum and how this thing might also move up. Now, TJ, I think you have it in another window. So we can play this a quick clip. If not, I can pull it up pretty briefly here.
Yeah, we have entered the ETH trade. I'm just letting chat know.
Send that to me on X.
ETH position has filled, and we're looking at a double bottom here on the minute time frame with the RSI. You might get one again. We're going to try to catch the liquidation sweep here, so we might get one lower. So have a 5% stop loss on. Again, we have a rule no past 20x on the $1,000 to $10,000 challenge if you're following along. What I like to see here is the 10-minute. You have a bit of a bullish divergence forming here on the 10-minute frame. So I do like seeing that, and Bitcoin just bounced off $106,000 almost exactly. So could be getting a little bounce here, but if it does break that level, what you should be looking for again is ETH coming maybe down to 23.94. Not much liquidity left on Ethereum. So I'm comfortable more on the ETH position for a bounce than I am the Bitcoin position, because Bitcoin looks a little bit uglier about being able to come down to 105.7 or 105.3, but is entering that liquidity zone as we speak right now. So we'll see if we can end up catching this here, and I'll update the Discord as we break down the news here today.
All right, and I'm up 3% at this point. But yeah, here is Sean Adams.
What did you enter? Sorry,
I'm up 3% right
now.
No,
I know. What did you enter?
Oh, I don't. I think it was like $100 above.
When like 30 seconds.
Oh no, not on ETH, just on BTC.
Gotcha.
All right, but yeah, Ryan Adams, he posted this, and this is the thesis from Fundstrat. And so this is Thomas Lee, who's the CIO of Fundstrat Capital. It's a big Wall Street investment firm that invests in digital assets. And this is only a 40-second clip, and he talks about why he is so bullish on Ethereum. Let's listen in real quickly.
Underneath the stablecoin industry is Ethereum. That is really like the backbone and architecture of stablecoins. So it's important to create a project that essentially accumulates Ethereum to essentially protect and have some influence on the network. So that's why we're creating this treasury vehicle to buy Ethereum. The more Ethereum that's accumulated, the more secure the network is. And I think it's also sort of the architecture that future banks will have. When Goldman issues a stablecoin and JP Morgan doing it on Ethereum, as a layer 1 blockchain, they're going to want to secure it by staking Ethereum. So we're trying to get in front of that by creating a treasury.
All right, so if you're a Solana company and you want to do a lot of moves with Solana like Pump.Fund, you are going to be a Solana validator, and it's just a way to secure your transactions to make sure your transactions go through. If you're JP Morgan, you're BlackRock, you're random bank, Chase Morgan, and you have $1 trillion in stablecoins, $1 billion in stablecoins, you're going to want to validate ETH for the same reasons. And so I love his thesis. He is creating an Ethereum investment vehicle, just like you see the Bitcoin treasuries there. So he's front running ETH accumulation by the banks. ETH is also the architecture banks will have. And so when, like he was saying, when Goldman issues a stable coin, they're going to want to secure it by staking Ethereum. So why is he converting a Bitcoin mining company to an ETH treasury and staking company? Simple. The banks will have stable coins. The stable coins will deploy on ETH, and so the banks will acquire and stake ETH to secure their stable coins. So first they buy and stake, then central banks buy and stake ETH. ETH becomes a world reserve asset. He's front running the obvious ETH accumulation trend, just as he did with Bitcoin many years ago. Very bullish on ETH. What do you think of that thesis there, TJ? I love that thesis.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I think we're going to start to see it happen more and more. I'm still, obviously, if I'm going to be a treasury play accumulator, I'm looking at Bitcoin. But we're already hearing Solana ones. I do think Ethereum, there will be many, many large institutions that hold a lot of Ethereum to secure the network. That's a given. It's already happening. It will continue to happen. If these major institutions are doing large, multi-billion dollar transactions on chain, they're going to want to have a say in the security of it. That's the way it's designed. So yeah, it will continue to run. What gets me the most excited is seeing, Tom Lee has the ear of Wall Street. We had, I forgot the guy's name yesterday that was recommending people have like up to 10 to 40% exposure to crypto, which is absolutely insane. So Wall Street now is coming and has been really ever since Larry Fink and BlackRock got involved. Before that was the sign, but now they're all rolling in, and you're seeing them coming faster and faster and faster. So yeah, Ethereum will tokenized stocks be run on Ethereum. It sure appears that's going to be.
It reminds me of the old Arnold Schwarzenegger clip from Pumping Iron. He's like, they just keep calming and calming and calming the banks. That's going to be them coming into Ethereum. You know that reference, right?
Yeah.
It's great reference. He's talking about just the banks, wanting to secure that ETH layer. All right, let's talk about ETH price predictions, though. How about a $5,000 Ethereum sooner than you think? Disco fam, sooner than you think. ETH price enters the most bullish phase of a powerful trading pattern, but bearish headwinds could still stall the rally. So what is this power of 3 setup? So what is this pattern? The power of 3 setup. What does this make you think, TJ or Josh? Power of 3. Is this going to be like Oprah manifest it? Do we write down ETH 5K 3 times a day?
I don't know. How about the holy Trinity? There you go. How about
do you
that?
say Ethereum backwards in your bathroom with the lights off? Like Candyman or something? No. So it's the power of 3, or the AMD model. This stands for accumulation, manipulation, distribution. So that's the 3. You get these 3 phases. It offers a framework for understanding institutional investor trading strategies around some key areas. So first thing, we have accumulation. So the accumulation phase, typically marked by quiet sideways price action, and we saw that between May 9th and June 20th. During this phase, the participants build positions while volatility remains low, laying the groundwork for the larger moves. So let's get into the second phase, manipulation. Here, price action seeks to trigger panic. They want paper hands to panic. They want the retail investor to panic. They want you to panic and force premature selling or short entries, only to reverse violently against the expected move. You can see it right there. As we fell back down into the accumulation range right there. We'll see it on different charts as well. And then institutional investor demand followed. So Glassnode noted that ETH ETFs, 106,000 ETH in net inflows. This significant capital movement, the significant amount of money, further validates the setup's transition into the final stage. This is where it goes Super Saiyan. ETH is about to go Super Saiyan. Vitalik already has blonde hair and blue eyes. So the next step, your ETH is going to get jacked on roids. The distribution phase is now underway. ETH begins moving aggressively in the opposite direction of the manipulation zone. Liquidity pools above become targets, and price often accelerates as trap positions are unwound in the current market, and the distribution phase target lies above 5,000, i.e., 100% rally. And so this power of 3 pattern is also mirroring the 2016-2017 rally. And if we go to the price charts, you can see a lot of, this is 3-day. I was like,
you're gonna have to shift off the tab now.
That is right. And then we're going to stop the screen. We're going to hit present. We're going to go to share screen. We're going to go to window, and then we're going to click, and then we're going to hit share, and then we finally got there. And then we hit add, but TJ was already there. So this is what we're talking about. Trade sideways, trade sideways, trade sideways. Manipulate it to the downside. Make people think we lost support. Make people think you kind of trade on major moves. Oh, open your shorts because we're going down to the next level. This was all manipulation as they start pumping it back up to the upside. Now, they're saying 5K is going to be the target here. But in a video, I also noted we got some bull flag pennants forming. We got a bull flag pennant forming here. But is this something that can actually play out? Well, if we go to the last one, look how perfect that price lines up there. Let's go to one more. We got another larger bull flag pennant right here. That's why I had it on the 3-day. It's a little bit cleaner. We had another one right here. And if we go from the breakout, looks like it broke out about right there. Also really, really close to the
Wow.
target. Actually went a little bit higher. And so what is our target right here for this bull flag breakout? $5,000, $5,200. So just something to keep an eye out on, folks. ETH might have the most hated rally in crypto.
Wow. All-time high. And what do you have a timeline on that?
Let's just see. All right, this
Continue
one
down a
was
little more?
pretty vertical after the breakout. You can see, I mean, right there. I mean, look how fast that moved. That was very, very fast. This one also pretty fast. Let's just do a little moving average here. So that took 43 days. No, that's 3 days. It was 120 days. That was a pretty long move.
I'm gonna guess just before you do the math, like late August.
That says September 10th. So you're right.
September 10th. Yeah, I was gonna say August, September. So guess what else happens in September?
Also happens in September.
Big
I mean,
meeting.
it reminds me of that terrible tragedy of
No.
Manhattan.
This is gonna happen September of this year. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen
Blood
in
in
June.
the bones.
We knew it. We know it didn't happen in June. Rate cuts.
Rate cuts. That's right. Yeah, we
It's
got a
gonna-
July decision, a September decision.
And it's more or less what he said today is, expecting end of the year. Most people predicting September. A lot of charts
Chad is
rounding
on it.
out. So we could see a $5,200 ETH leading into rate cuts in September. And that's when we see the alt season blow off top, all the crazy numbers that a lot of people are talking about. And so nothing has shaken. I know a lot of you guys haven't been through many, many cycles, haven't been here, 6, 7, 8 years like we have. Get shaken out when you see this crazy economic stuff, but nothing has shaken my resolve with what's coming for the second half of this year yet. We've been telling you guys since 2022, September 2025 is your time that you're going to be smiling and making a ton of money. That hasn't changed one bit. Now we're starting to see the charts round out to it. I couldn't be more excited. I'm very glad we've been stuck in this range as long as we have, so that way we can get positioned correctly. We got a lot of big moves happening in the background, and I think the timing could work out just about right for everybody.
Speaking of big moves in the background,
Surprised that markets aren't
disco
pumping
ball?
off that news.
Could we get the disco ball real
Yeah, we
quick?
gotta spin
Yeah, we'll
it.
do
I'm
disco
surprised
ball.
the market's dumped off that news.
Well, the market's dumped off of the Elon Trump stuff. Trump said the word tariff. Elon's out there saying, the United States is going bankrupt.
It could be mom and dad fighting.
Yeah.
Trump Elon, who knows how that's going to play out. All right, now this is kind of some takes on ETH here. Coinbase has an ETH L2, Sony, Kraken, Deutsche Bank, Ant Digital, and now Robinhood also building an ETH L2. Probably a little sarcasm. How will ETH survive with all these parasites?
Yeah.
Fun question. Here's another kind of take here. Ethereum now just needs to figure out how to accrue value to ETH holders. People just kind of having fun with this. So obviously institutions, they love Ethereum. You can see it right here. Sony, that'll be interesting to see how this plays out as Grand Theft Auto launches. Is there going to be any integration? Now let's talk about ETH. Had a huge surge. A lot of it is just going to be, big money. So ETH had a 3.5% pump here, and it's mostly the weekly inflows, $429 million in new weekly inflows for Wall Street here. What the heck kind of ad is this? Some random lady. This trend has coincided with a declining ETH supply on exchanges. I was like, is that Lummis? Rising staking levels with over 35 million ETH. 28% of the total supply is now locked in proof of stake contracts. So ETH, a lot of bullishness. And then now it's time to talk about Bitcoin. Before we roll on, Joshua, are you bullish on ETH for the rest of the week? People are wondering about the rest of the week. As a trader, what are you seeing?
The rest of the day.
Rest of the day?
I'll say
Okay.
the rest of the day. Yeah. I mean, if it's markets are bouncing back and forth off the tweets here, but we're trading
I
liquidation.
need to
ranges.
close this
So,
Bitcoin long.
Really,
What
right
am I
now we're
doing?
looking at if we look at the levels here, starting to pull up here at 23.93 here. Again, you can get one last sweep down to this range, and I want to be a surprise if we're stopped out of that to look for that re-entry. But this is very simple. When that green side is higher than the red side, markets are bullish. This is on the daily time frame. So we're looking at some key levels above us. So we're looking at a pretty good entry point on the E-Trade. I'm not mad about taking this whatsoever. The 7-day time frame, though, Deezy, a little bit more balanced. So, I honestly think we're just
Yeah, it's
in
pretty
that
even there.
position of more than likely being stuck between the trading range of $108,700 Bitcoin or whatever it is, and $106,000 or $105,000. Same thing with Ethereum, 2520 and 2390, whatever the range is. We just take advantage of those ranges as we go back and forth. And so right now we did enter that E-Trade. We're about 3% right now on this long that we just took live with you guys. We made a 3% profitable trade this morning, so we're starting off the day pretty strong here. And we'll look to adjust the stop loss and move forward here. And again, even though they're only 3% wins here, guys, on average, if you compound $1,000 at 2% on a daily rate, you're looking to have 1,800, I believe, by the first month, around 6,000 by the third month, and around like it jumps massively up to 100,000 or something crazy, 200,000 by the 6th month. So it's about just taking patience and small term wins and just continuing to compound that and rotate that into a bigger and bigger position. So I'm very simple. I like to be very, very patient. Sometimes we won't even trade in a day because it just doesn't hit our level. And so what I like to see is we want to watch.
Chase. You're not chasing.
We won't chase because chasers, they're the erasers. They get eliminated.
Chasers
out of
are the
markets.
erasers. I
Yeah,
like that.
they
You just come up with that one?
Just off the dome, DZ. Off the dome here. But you're looking at
10 points
again,
for Gryffindor.
yeah, 10 points. They'll take it. Maybe we can take just pump our ETH bags and we'll call it there. But to summarize that, you guys do not want to chase trends, right? Let others get liquidated before you enter the market. You can wait for those massive liquidation sweeps. They happen almost every single day, if not every single hour. And that's when we look to take advantage of those market cycles. So very excited for the rest of the week. But right now it's about trading these ranges until we do get an actual deciding factor of two things. And that is Donald Trump with the tariffs this week, which is going to be a volatile week. Of course, you see him fighting with Elon.
Running out of time.
And then the FOMC meeting at the end of July.
Yeah, so those who don't know, it was a 90-day pause, and the 90 days is running out, or 60 days.
Yeah, and they've also got the big vote.
Yeah.
They're either trying to slam that through.
5 trillion. It's the biggest spending bill. Yeah, I don't know why Elon Musk is, dude. It just raise. They need to do two things: raise the debt, make it no ceiling, have no debt ceiling, but put a 3% deficit
Bitcoin.
on Congress.
muted.
Yeah.
That's all they have to do, but they just never will because of lobbying. And you're not gonna win making a third party. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard because of the electoral college. Even if you have a third party and it wins, you're still gonna have a majority within. It's gonna take decades to rotate the seats, the needed seats out of.
So what's the solution? Just send the country down the drain?
Yes.
Basically,
Yeah, that's your only solution.
Like New York City.
Yeah. So basically, we need to go bankrupt, more or less. Like declare bankruptcy, destroy all the debt.
The problem is
wreck the
you're
world.
talking about a loan shark going bankrupt. So if the United States is going bankrupt, they still rely on our military, our agriculture, our production, our dollars.
No, I'm not joking. I'm being serious. Like you're saying, that's your proposal is the best path forward is to bankrupt the United States and reset the financial system.
I think the best path forward is to primary all the dumbass rhinos. You don't need a new party. Just go after the current administration. You just need enough votes to get this debt ceiling. Not debt ceiling, the 3% deficit. I think it's a way easier. And chat might not agree with this, but I think
I would argue history would disagree because they've known that. Like Warren Buffett used to talk about that 40 years ago, and nobody's been able to get the votes.
Which means history proves that it's never going to be anything other than a two-party system
and a one-party system.
Yeah, the uniparty.
Well, if you want to call it that, yes. But yes,
it's never going to be anything different than a one-party system.
You're never going to have a libertarian. You're never going to have a socialist dictator.
By the way, I was
just as a mayor of New York City.
The last thing is that happens this week. I was muted when I said it was the spending bill. They're talking about trying to print another $5 trillion.
I like the idea of our dollars, becoming essentially worthless, but then we have these countries with these decade-long aid packages. Can you imagine Netanyahu? He goes to open his briefcase of cash, and then he sees this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
As we share the screen
it's
here.
It's a sad reality. It's just
imagine Netanyahu just opening it up and there's a bunch of IOUs. But this is as good as money, man. This is as good as money. And I only bring them up because they're the largest recipient of USAID. Let's get into Bitcoin price real quick. I got some short-term and some longer-term price targets for you. Number one in the short term, I think it's the 1 hour chart. This is the megaphone chart pattern we're seeing on the 1 hour. And so we pulled it up and replicated it. And during the show, we have actually lost support. So this might no longer be valid, or you could do what a lot of people do in TA. They'll just go from the wicks to the bodies or from the bodies to the wicks. So we had a megaphone on the bodies of the 1 hour. We'll just go to the wicks. Folks, we're still in the megaphone. That's TA for you sometimes. Well, let's give you a target. So if we go to the top of the range, we're looking at a nice little $3,000 pump, and that takes us to 109. And not quite new all-time highs, of course, but I could see this megaphone starting to play out. Now we got another one. This is from Aaron Dishner, aka Moon and Papa, my favorite Japanese trader here. Even though he's a 6'7" white guy, but still awesome channel, awesome content. I think he does some stuff for Cointelegraph here. Are you prepared for Bitcoin to grind down to 97K in 12 more days? And he pointed out something that it is also in this range, and it kind of takes about the same amount of time to hit the bottom. So maybe we can go from right there. So 2 weeks went from the top to the bottom, grinded back up, and then in 2 weeks went from the top to the bottom, and then we grinded back up. And so if we see this play out, we have a pretty severe correction here. Bitcoin's going to lose almost $10,000. That takes us to 96K.
Fills the futures gap.
Oh, even more, all the more reason why this might actually play out. And then I have the most bearish take of them all. We did this in a video. We have rounded top patterns, and these keep playing out. And so when you get a rounded top pattern, you can put it down to the bottom, and it gives you essentially the next target. I've back tested this. This does play out, folks. You can see it happen time and time again. You can even go to the previous cycle and even predicted the bear market bottom to a T there. And so looking at this bearish take, I'm not saying it will play out, but it could. That takes us back down to 70s, 77K.
Ew.
I know. And it'd be right above this too. So maybe even wick below.
Let me just catch the short if that happens, please.
Ooh, that would be pretty juicy there.
Would love to see that. That would be DJ, you think we're going back to 77K?
Probably not. 97 seems pretty, like that seems very attainable and
Yeah, I mean, we definitely
healthy.
play this out.
Yeah,
though,
I like the 97 call. I think that'd be pretty healthy. 7, they're just, as far as I can see, and we've seen this several times. We've seen big like potential warfare breaking out. It takes insane pressure to get us significantly below 98. So a wick down to 97. Yes, I could see that happening. 70. We're talking. Full reset. So I don't think we get there until, like, I say we see 150K Bitcoin before we see 70K Bitcoin. Put it that way.
All right. Now, I talked about this a couple weeks ago. Who the hell is selling all the Bitcoin? So we got BlackRock, Fidelity, Strategy. Everybody's buying all this massive amounts of Bitcoin. Price is still stable. So who's selling? Big whales with more than 10,000 Bitcoin who bought Bitcoin between $0 and $700 and held for 8 to 16 years. So this is actually pretty important, because 1,000 Bitcoin is 1.07 billion. So it doesn't, when these whales have 10,000, they can drop 100 and it's like MicroStrategy for the month. They could drop, they could just kind of fart out a little bit of their dust, and then that's a whole accumulation strategy for Metaplanet. So I always like to say there's always a Chinese whale ready to dump on you. Still think it's going to play out for a while.
There are a lot of whales. They're starting to go away, which is interesting. Yeah. I saw something yesterday about somebody talking about that he had a gold bar. They were kind of like fake gold bars, but there was 100.
I might do a short on that.
Yeah, it's 100 Bitcoin in that thing. He bought it for $500.
Yeah,
back in, I think, 2013.
So yeah, there's these bars that were kind of sealed in a way, and there's like a little hologram, little sticker type deal, and it had untouched Bitcoin on it. And so gold was so much more expensive than Bitcoin. They would just have like an ounce of gold or 10 ounce, and then they would just throw like 10 Bitcoin on it, or 1 Bitcoin on it
as a novelty.
It's a novelty. And some of these are still untouched, and this is one of the last untouched ones. So yeah, I'll probably do a short on that later on today. We do have, I know Stock likes kind of comparing tech and stock to Bitcoin. Well, it looks like we're going to have a very bullish month. Bitcoin has never lost more than 10% by July monthly candle close, while stocks have had straight gains for a decade. So will history repeat? And so this is from Milky Bull. Heck of a name. 7th month of the year is
Mikey Bull. Mickey Bull or Mikey Bull?
I have boomer eyes. Yeah, it's probably Mikey, but maybe he's out there milking bulls. I don't know.
Easy wants to milk them udders, dude.
Protein. Now this is going to be S&P has seen 10 straight green Julys there, and so you can just kind of look at the chart there. Very, very bullish month for the S&P 500. But they also have Bitcoin. Bitcoin has never declined more than 10%. The time we declined 9.69 all the way back in 2014. TJ and Josh, that is pretty nuts. Is this going to hold true? Are we going to keep the bullishness in July? So I would say,
we've never had 2 red months in a row in July.
Well, yeah. What do you
Yeah.
mean 2 red months in a
Oh,
row?
no,
in
go
July?
back to the chart. I meant 2 red Julys in a row. My
2
bad.
red Julys
Yeah,
in
it's
a
a
row.
good point.
Two in a
Good
row.
point,
Yeah, that's
TJ.
a good one. That's a
Yeah,
good
you'll
one.
never have 2
You
red
have had
months in
2
a row
red months in a row, but
in the
yes.
same month. Nice.
Rip.
Now,
What were you asking, DZ?
I mean, I was kind of comparing the June. So when we get a green June, though, we do have a red there, green followed by red, green, 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 red, green, 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 red. So
Well,
it's a
look at-
little bit of a coin toss
The
if we have a green
comparison is
June.
going back and looking at what would it be? It'd be 2021 and 2017 Julys, because that's where we are in the 4-year cycle.
Or you could say, when we had a completely bullish Q2, and so that would be 2019, green, 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 completely bullish, fell a little bit, green, 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 went up, green, 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 went again. We're looking at kind of some coin tosses here. So, yeah, a lot of, but yeah, 2021 would be a halving year, and so then we had an 18% pump.
And
Kinda
then
looks like a roulette
19 was it,
table.
or 18% pump
does.
twice.
Yeah, it looks like a roulette table there.
So what's the 18% pump from here?
Let's look. Let's look. All right, 18% pump, and so we're gonna
That's
get our
definitely a
measuring
breakout.
tool. 18 is gonna be 126.
That-
Nice little pump there.
That
folks.
tracks. That's in line. You know, there's a lot of people looking at levels in that 125-ish area. Wouldn't be shocking to see us go down and retest that 97. Well, how many weeks? Was it 2 weeks that we could potentially retest that 97 from?
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
like a
2 weeks.
14-day deal, and we're a couple days into it here.
It would be really interesting if we go down and retest, like grind down over the next week or so.
Bing!
Yeah, and then head up to 125.
Yeah, that would be real sweet, real nice, real nice. Now, y'all ready to talk about altcoins?
Why not?
ETFs?
Yeah.
Talk to us.
All these bags that we're waiting to pump and they don't pump, and we're just getting pissed at them when we like want to poke it with a stick, do something. Headlines you absolutely love to see on Bloomberg. That's right. Crypto ETF summer kicking off,
Let's
everybody.
go.
Here's James Seifert, friend of the channel, Eric Balchunas. We love these two. The most recent odds on spot crypto ETFs approval by the end of 2025. A new wave of ETFs is coming in the second half of 2025. So they have upped a huge swath up to 95%, including Litecoin, Solana, and XRP. And then we had a huge swath pump up to 90%. Avalanche, HBAR, Polkadot, Cardano, and Dogecoin. That's right, everybody. So they're raising the odds for from these two analysts here. They are expecting them to be approved by the SEC this year, and they gave the same odds for the ETF based on a basket of crypto assets. Now, the deadline, this is the important part. The final deadline on the 3 ETFs that they gave the 95% is in October, while the basket ETF could be approved this week. Now, the basket and the October ETFs all have the 95% odds. And so all eyes are on this crypto basket ETF this week to see if their prediction is going to come true. So if they're predicting 95% on the one coming this week, and it comes true, that increases the odds in my mind that we're going to see Litecoin, Solana, and XRP by October. Remember, folks, it's already July, so it's not that far away. And we said, the Doge, Cardano, AVAX, HBAR also have final decisions due in the fourth quarter there. Now, ETFs for SWI and Tron, lower odds, 60 and 50%. But the Solana staking ETF is set to launch on Wednesday, and it's going to be the first in the U.S. to allow crypto staking. So we're seeing the ETFs just come. A lot of bullishness is going to come, and I just love the headline here. Crypto ETF summer just makes me bullish. It's got a great ring to it. Now let's talk about Trump here. Trump and Powell, they're battling. I saw people in the chat. Powell is expected to speak tomorrow as well. I think it was 9:30. Or maybe that was today. So if you're wondering, we're going to be covering all the comments there. But President Trump just issued a handwritten note to Chair Powell. I don't know if they use the auto pen. The note calls Powell too late. It shows how U.S. rates should be here, pointing at other countries' rates. Trump says we should be paying 1% interest or better. Are the 1% interest coming? And there's his note right there. Interesting handwriting style, right? I know it's partly because it's a marker. What do you think, Josh? What do you think of his autograph there, his signature?
Looks like it says,
Looks like shark teeth.
I don't even know what that.
It looks like a heartbeat monitor for someone who trades altcoins.
I mean, it's kind of impressive with how bold. It looks like he writes in bold all the time. He just be writing in bold, dude. That is the most Trump.
Writes
thing
with a
he could do.
Sharpie and he does it sideways.
It's a huge bold font. That is the exact. But I have to give him credit. Decent handwriting for a dude.
But yeah, that is a large list of countries with lower interest rates, though.
Yeah.
I will say that. That's us coming in at number 35, and you can see, the Swiss with their kroner, the lowest what is it, inflation, I think, in the world, 0.25%
Yeah,
interest rates.
that chart speaks volumes. I mean, like, and go to the full screen so you can see all of it at once. Is that the full screen? Yeah, there you go. It's, look what the United States is grouped with. It makes no sense. I mean, we're grouped with Cameroon, Equatorial Guinea. I didn't even know that was a country. Gabon, didn't know that's a country. Guatemala, Israel, Mauritius,
Israel.
Norway.
The other ones aren't, though.
I don't know where those places are. I will tell you. I can imagine some of those are. I couldn't tell you where those are on the map. Man, did you purposely do that or? Well, it's because Israel is our economy.
You're talking about a brisk?
Yeah. Yeah, but when you look at Switzerland's like the neutral economy of the planet, and they're at 0.25%.
Muted. Oh, they didn't get my punchline.
No, you're not muted. I'm muted. I keep getting phone calls and then I mute myself and then I try to come back and then I unmute.
DJ said he who cuts first wins, or
he who cuts last wins. I was saying it's interesting to see how we're aligned with Israel, is what I was saying. And both them and us use our economy as a tool of enforcement, more or less. And he who cuts last wins. So we're basically destroying every other economy in the world right now. We're just destroying ours. Ours is crashing slower than the rest of them.
Yeah.
So we will cut. They will get back down to low rates again, probably close to 1%. They're not going to do it this summer. It will probably happen in September. It's just going to be a bunch of noise between now and then. They have this big, beautiful bill that gets voted in. They get all this spending that starts happening end of this year, beginning of next year, makes all the numbers go up. Everybody's excited. We get to do re-elections, and then we keep doing it all over again.
All right. Well, here's the press secretary with the world's longest sheet of paper. Let me add to the stage. Long sheet, right? Reminds me of like the 90s
Legal.
printers. Too old for Josh here, but it like come out like on a
legal print
things on the side you tear off. But yeah, here's
an iPad
8.5 by 14 right there.
This is just under a minute. Here we go. Let's listen in.
The world. At the top is Switzerland. They're only paying a quarter for interest rates. Cambodia, Japan, Denmark, Thailand, Botswana, Barbados, Taiwan, Bulgaria, Cuba, Sweden, Morocco, Cabo Verde, South Korea, Algeria, Bosnia, United Kingdom, and the UAE are all paying lower interest rates than the United States of America, which has one of the hottest and strongest economies in the world. The president sent this note to the Fed chair. It says, Jerome, you are as usual too late. You have cost the USA a fortune and continue to do so. You should lower the rate by a lot. Hundreds of billions of dollars are being lost and there is no inflation. And the president is right. There is historically low inflation thanks to his policies. And we will continue.
Yeah, I mean, inflation is low. And at this point, Jerome Powell, I would say I try to be very neutral on Jerome Powell. He's starting to lose credibility in my eyes, that's for sure.
Can you name what he's done right?
Well, I mean,
he done right. I mean, I think he was in a very tough position, and it's hard to say what's right and what's wrong.
He switched. I was a fan until
just
I gave
recently.
him. I was trying to be neutral because of the whole. I did not. I mean, he was totally off about transitory inflation. Like that was the first message.
Yeah, kept him high too long.
He did do pretty well, and what I liked about Jerome was like he didn't matter what politics were. He always reacted to the data, and he always said he had a goal of 2% and that they would be reactive, not proactive. And it's kind of like the lagging indicator 3 months. But then I stopped liking Jerome Powell this year when he flipped the script. He literally went from going, hey, we base everything on data to, you know what? We're going to base everything now on forecasts from economists on a poll. And that was a weird switch we saw in this last year. So type 1 in chat if you like Jerome, 2 in chat if you don't. But TJ, I'm curious to get your thoughts because to me I thought Jerome Powell had a chance at winning like a Nobel Prize I thought he could have had the Paul Volcker kind of mentality and exited pretty gracefully. But I honestly think he's too late.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm not a fan of the Fed in general. So who the chair is, I'm not necessarily going to be a champion of them. I do think it's a tough job to basically captain a ship that has a bunch of holes in it, which is more or less what we're doing. We're running a debt-based system. History has proven multiple times doesn't work. So you don't really want to be the captain when the wheels start coming off, when you start really singing. I think he handled it fairly well. I do agree with what you're saying now, Josh, in the sense that he came out saying one thing for a long time, data. Now the data lines up with what they said their targets were, and now he's making projections. So that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. I don't necessarily disagree with his projections. I do think the projections are bad. So I don't know. I just think the whole debt-based system needs to break. And so when you're talking about who's the best at doing it ass backwards way, maybe he's one of the best of them.
Well,
So
what pumps hardest when we start printing hardest?
what asset?
What's hardest?
What pumps hardest?
Bankers.
I was gonna say
Jeans?
the more risky, the riskier you are on the scale, the higher likelihood you're gonna pump.
Right.
Yeah,
risk assets.
I think it's he lost all like I think his projections have zero credibility now after the transitory inflation was wrong. He cut interest rates at all-time highs right before Kamala Harris. For whatever reason that happened, and he still has no explanation on why they cut interest rates by 50 basis points. And now he's saying that this time's different, that this third time he's going to be correct. But, to me, it's like chat, you guys remember this 3 months ago, Trump session? Trump's going to put us into a Great Depression. The stock market was down 15% or 30%, I think 25% at one point. It was like the greatest buying opportunity. Everybody on the channel is telling you guys, buy under 80K, buy under 80K, buy under 80K.
We were buying
nonstop. Buy arrow at the bottom, bought a bunch of all coins at the bottom. But everybody's telling you that there's going to be this recession. Then you just zoom out here and you look at the SPX, right? Like Scott Bessent, this is where I go, now, if I think anybody has credibility, it's not even necessarily Donald Trump here, guys. Donald Trump is he just gives the demand. It's Scott Bessent.
Well, it's funny at the bottom, Donald
right.
Trump said buy, Jim Cramer said Black Monday coming.
Yeah.
Sell.
Yeah. So he literally said on which is crazy. But yeah, we're hitting all-time highs now. And this, again, you have to give credit to Marco Rubio. You have to give credit to the Commerce Secretary. You got to give credit to Scott Bessent just as much as Trump and the administration. But like this right here is the proof. This was, again, altcoins aren't where they're at, but that's because consumer sentiment is so low. You know what can help with consumer sentiment and consumer spending? Lower interest rates.
Yeah.
It's
lowers our interest payments.
Wages are outpacing inflation. If interest rates are lower, this is going to bring back the private sector because the private sector is going to be able to borrow more money and they're not going to be worried about, constraints within the markets. And you guys can ask, even my dad, he just got a new job, but construction, there's not necessarily, there's not crazy layoffs, but it's very hard to get a job right now. And that's because these companies are on the private sector are bouncing over the place. So, I would love to see the interest rates lowered because I want to see alt season. I don't think you're going to see a Fed pivot till 2027 in terms of the money printer, but there's going to be artificial ways. For example, raising the debt ceiling, getting the $5 trillion that we were just talking with TJ and DZ with the big, beautiful bill. And that's how we get our markets to start performing from a retail standpoint.
Yeah, speaking of Scott Bessent, he actually came out and made a statement breaking U.S. Treasury. Scott Bessent says, because this is on Elon Musk and Trump going back and forth. So Elon Musk, he admires Elon Musk on rockets, but I'll take care of the finances. Says the tax bill more than pays for itself. Again, I agree our spending's out of control. I also agree nothing stops this train. And I think that's what Elon learned the hard way, unfortunately. When you have billions of dollars and you're very good at solving very complex problems, you tend to have the belief that you can solve any problem. I do believe he went in genuinely feeling like he could balance the budget, fix the economy. He's probably not the first person, but the system chewed him up and spit him out. And that's because it's been around for much longer than this country has. So,
all right. Well, I see a lot of people asking about Toncoin. What happened to Toncoin? In fact, literally the last comment, what happened to Toncoin? I was like, oh man, what's happening to Toncoin? I went to the 10-minute chart. I'm like, oh, this does maybe look a little bit bad here. Do I need to present again?
Oh yeah, we're on.
Oh, sorry, no, I just used the wrong screen. Yeah, I don't see your screen.
Yep, I was. There we go. We always
fight.
Yeah, we always press the buttons. Toncoin does look pretty bad.
Wow.
It is down, but that's actually only 7%, maybe. If you look at the 24-hour losers on CoinGecko, it is one of the top losers. But I mean, ARB and Say actually have even worse candles than that one. So Ton is we're just seeing a little bit of a pullback on a lot.
Did you see anything on X? Let me go look. On
it is.
I think it's just a lot of altcoins just kind of losing some support.
Yeah, I'm looking on the right side.
I am not seeing any
arrow
gold
drove
divs
down
just yet. I mean, a little bit forming on a 1 minute. I mean, this is There's not. I would check a liquidation heat map on Toncoin because there are a lot of Asian whales that trade that token. Maybe it's insiders dumping. I don't know, but keep an eye out on that one. Yeah, a lot of altcoins are feeling the pain right
Let's
now.
see Bitcoin dominance. Oh, well, what do you look at that? Bitcoin dominance starting to run up again. It just you can't escape this thing. This is a 24-minute candlestick, by the way. Let's go to that daily time frame here. Yeah, getting a little bit of growth back on the Bitcoin dominance. So
luckily, I didn't pay attention to my long on Bitcoin 69x because we are up right now. We're up 2.4% right now, maybe even 3% here. However, I mean, I was probably down 40% at one point. I kind of missed it. I probably would have sold there. We do have some other news here. Caleb Franzen, we're talking about risk coming on, money printers being turned on. Altcoins are going to be the main beneficiary of this. Bitcoin's going to pump, but as people tend to gravitate towards risky assets, they're going to go for the altcoins. Now, altcoins are struggling, however, notes Caleb Franzen, but the trends suggest they're about to struggle even more. Look at Total 3, excluding stable coins. This is Total.3 ES trading below. Now the 21-day EMA, the 55-day, and the 200 EMA. Altcoin just got rejected on this dynamic range. If we get above, that's when he's going to turn bullish. And I zoomed in right there. I mean, you can see, look at that wick just coming up right to it and just saying, no, Bitcoin is still the king. And we saw that with the Bitcoin dominance there. Now, this is pretty major news. This is Edelman. He's a billionaire. He founded a $300 billion investment advisory firm, Edelman Financial Engines, and he is now recommending a 40% crypto allocation for aggressive investors, 10% for conservative, says owning crypto no longer speculative, failing to do so is where the real speculation lies. Then he has, basically saying the 60-40 stock bond allocation model is dead. Now, we're bleeding into financial advice, but yeah, to me, Bitcoin, 10% of your assets in Bitcoin seems low to me.
Yeah, well, I've definitely got a lot more of my assets in Bitcoin.
Chat, what's the rule? Let's see what chat says.
D25-25. I had to cut them off.
25. It's yeah, that's just saving everybody's portfolios right now.
No,
we're just trading.
This is a substantial statement. This guy, like you mentioned, DZ, he's very well respected in the space when it comes to portfolio management. Who he's speaking to are all the financial advisors of the world. This is almost like when Larry Fink does a Bitcoin ETF, every other CEO perks up and says, wait, what did he do? This is the same for financial advisors. So when this guy comes out and says, no, 10% is the conservative investment. If you're aggressive, you need to be doing 40%. But you need to have, this means if you have $100 million, you need to have $10 million in Bitcoin. And so these are people that are like, oh, okay, we're going to.
That's if you're scared.
Yeah, that's if you're conservative. That's just to preserve your wealth. That means, okay, that means if you have several, say you've got $30 million in real estate. All right, you need to go sell a couple assets and put that into big. They're going to be rearranging big, now if you're a income earning, or there's all sorts of different ways they balance people's portfolios. But now the new benchmark is going to be like, okay, we need to get them up to 10%. Oh, this client is aggressive and they want growth for their thing. Okay, we're going to get them up to 30%. So even if the asset managers of the world, the financial advisors, that manage passive investors' money were to change their formula from 3%, or like some of them started to update to 1% and then maybe 2%. And if they started to update to 10%, this is where you start to see some of those God candles, some of those 250K Bitcoins, 300K Bitcoins, and some of those crazy numbers can happen extremely quickly with a few small adjustments in the financial world. So just buckle up. I know you guys thought I was crazy when I was saying 220K Bitcoin when we were sitting at 30K, but it's coming.
I grokked him. Edelman has been ranked 3 times as the #1 independent financial advisor in the United States by Barron's, and was inducted into the Financial Advisors Hall of Fame in 2019. And he's a #1 New York Times bestselling author of 10 personal finance books.
There you go. That's a resume right there. That's what I'm saying. When he speaks, every other financial advisor listens. You better believe crypto holdings are going up in people's portfolios.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Now let's talk about the big, beautiful bill here. Is it going to pass today? Is it going to pass by 4th of July is what Donald Trump wants? Well, we don't know because of I like the phrasing here, the marathon votorama that is happening right
Votorama.
now. So this U.S. senators, this is senators at fault here. And so the U.S. Senate discussions over the mega tax and spending bill could go all night as senators look to tack on amendments making it even bigger and less beautiful, including some that would affect crypto. So the Votorama, where lawmakers can propose amendments that are rapidly voted on for the Republicans' One Big Beautiful Bill Act, has been going on for 17 hours at the time of publication, which I think was about 7 hours ago. So 24 hours at this point, with senators on both sides bidding to include hundreds of amendments. Cynthia Lummis did put forward a crypto amendment she said was aimed at ending the unfair tax treatment of crypto digital assets and would assure Americans could use digital assets without fear of the tax man saying, I want you in jail, like Wesley Snipes. For years, miners and stakers have been taxed twice. Once when they receive a block reward and again when they sell it. So if you're Marathon Digital, you spend $1 million in electricity, but then you get $800,000 in Bitcoin. You have to mark that as, income essentially. And then if you were to sell that for cash, you're taxed a second time. I kind of remember that, but that is just totally ridiculous. And I would agree with this amendment for sure. This would be very, very bullish for crypto. Another provision, this is maybe the bigger one. This would apply to the 30-day wash sale rule to crypto, which would ban selling a digital asset for a loss and replacing it with a similar asset 30 days before or after. And so that's, maybe one that could hurt a little bit. But earlier on Monday, the Senate shot down the Democrat-backed amendment that would have prohibited government officials and their families, aka the Trumps, from offering or promoting a range of digital assets. They're going to try to prevent politicians from launching their own meme coins, their own NFT projects, and their own stable coins, which is such a weird thing to say. Our president has launched a couple meme coins and an NFT release or a few, and has his own stable coin. What a world we live in,
This
right?
is 2025. Yeah.
Wild. Now, Trump didn't stop there. The mad lad kept going. He's buying more Bitcoin. Trump-linked American Bitcoin raises another $220 million for mining and their treasury. But part of what makes this story cool, part of the transaction was they're accepting Bitcoin instead of cash. Super cool there. So it's American Bitcoin, majority-owned subsidiary of HUD-8, and they raised $220 million for mining equipment and for their Bitcoin treasury. 11 million shares were issued in a private placement, so like a private deal, and they end up selling it for $220 million. However, 10 million worth of the shares were sold for Bitcoin instead of cash, with the average cost of acquisition $104. How cool is that?
Yeah, that's cool.
I like that. Notably, now, if you're wondering what's the Trump connection, President Trump's sons, Don Jr. and Eric, were among the founders of American Bitcoin, and then HUD-8 acquired a majority stake in the firm on March 31st there. So that's the little crypto angle with Trump. So Trump buying more Bitcoin. But let's switch to altcoins here. Did you see the Solana guy added to X by Elon?
I did. I'm glad you mentioned. I totally forgot about that. I
This
don't know if I
is
saw it
totally.
late
Have you
last
seen
night or
this,
early
Josh?
morning.
No.
This
This is
is this is like probably one of the top X employees.
Yeah, Steve-O's going to be excited. Head of product.
Yeah,
Right?
so it's like Elon, and then you got Greg 133769420, and then it's this guy. Okay,
Yeah.
that is the hierarchy of the X employees here. So Elon Musk has posted this. Welcome to X. Let's click on this, ladies and gentlemen. I've officially posted my way to the top. I'm joining X as head of product. This is where things get a little bit interesting. Let's go to Nikita's account
So he's
here.
a Solana guy?
Advisor for Solana.
He's an incredibly successful entrepreneur. He's been acquired, I think, twice. One, there you go.
Acquired by Discord.
Discord and Facebook.
Pretty good
two of his
track record
startups.
there.
Yeah, and then he went on to be a partner at that VC firm. Now he's advisor for Solana. Now he's head of product for X. So if you don't think there's going to be some integrations between Solana and X soon, you might be.
Yeah, now people are like, oh, you're going to be able to send Doge immediately. That's the first thing. I think Solana comes before Doge now.
Well, I think that now they're going to be working on an app or a wallet within X. I mean, they really want X to be like WeChat. Everything operates.
Pay your light bill on there.
Right.
Do everything there.
So it's going to be it's an interesting integration there. Solana Another one on my, I saw people in the chat saying, is alt season dead? Like, no, I'm still very bullish on the performance I'm going to see out of the Aave, Arrow, Solana, Ethereum. Now some are dead, but even this, we just had this news just broke. SEC is in the early stages of creating a generic listing standard for token-based ETFs in coordination with exchanges. Basically allows them to skip the 19B4 process, file an S1, and then within 75 days go live. So the alt season is basically never going to die. People will always take higher risks on higher risk assets. Now, you want to get in, you want to get out. You're speculating on them. So expect, I don't know, September, October, November, you're going to see alts perform extremely well. Still, you always want to be getting more Bitcoin. You always want to be stacking your Bitcoin stack. You want to use alts to get more Bitcoin. You do not want to hold alts for 5 years, 10 years. Do not start doing math of what your alt might be worth. If I could see the math of what I thought Cardano was going to be worth back in 2017, now it's up. It's up a lot. I've done well. I've got a lot more Bitcoin because of it, but it's not.
I saw an XRP post yesterday, and the people were sincerely asking, yeah, but do you still think it's going to $1,000 or $2,000 based on your current estimates? And it was Jake Claver, people in his replies. Not Jake Claver saying, I guess maybe he did say it at one point, but I don't know his timeline. I don't know if he means 5 years from now or 50 years from now. But yeah, people sincerely like, yeah, but Jake, like, when's my XRP going to hit $1,000? And they're dead serious. So it's tough. It's tough. Now, what is also tough is this trade is in Greentown, everybody.
Hey.
I'm debating closing the 69X. I don't recommend this. And we do post real trades, and I'm going to talk about the real trades in a little bit. I know people are like, oh, you just have the degen stuff. No, we got some real trades that we'll cover in about 5-10 minutes. This is major news. I don't want to get too deep. Deutsche Bank to launch crypto custody accounts next year. And so this is Germany's largest bank. And if you don't know, Germany has the largest economy within the European Union. And they're reportedly planning to allow its clients to store Bitcoin next year. And this is going to launch in 2026 with Bitpanda. So big news there. Germany, very, very large economy there. ADA, good news for Cardano, finally broke above the 50 moving average on the 4-hour chart. It has not been above this since the beginning of June. This could be the beginning of a reversal. So keep an eye out on that. Now, back to the trades. Is DZ leading the lambs to the slaughter? Is he just trying to help us out here? I'm trying to help you out. I've been posting on my X account, especially the exclusive stuff for the trades. I don't want people to just get wrecked. Slowly entering a SWE long at these levels. We'll cut and run if it fails to hold. And the entries were beautiful, folks. I think I actually have the SWE. Let's pull up the SWE chart. This is what I was telling you. Look at that, folks. So congrats if you got in on that trade. I posted that I cut and ran right here. Let's go ahead. You can see closed half, put the rest, and take profit at that level right there. And then if you had that final entry that didn't register, well, guess what? You just also got that entry. So we had closed, and now we're back in the trade. This has lowered our average entry cost. Actually, I'd closed pretty much completely. So our entry is super, super low. We're doing great on that trade, folks. Everybody in that one, congrats. And then I also told everybody about a meme coin on Cardano. Josh, you remember the name?
Shitcoin.
Pretty much. Berg. Berg's the word. 600% pump. You're welcome, folks.
Crushed it.
It was 777 at the start of the show. I was just looking.
777.
I have taken the vast majority of my. I'm not up 8x, but we're all up considerably. So if you jumped in on that one, I spoon fed you a great trade and a great meme coin, and I'm saying close the trade and profit, sell the meme coin and profit. We're just trying to make you money out here, folks. So discover crypto. If you're in the disco fam, we're all doing well. And Josh, you've been killing it with the trades too.
Yeah,
this one's if you guys are into Discord right now, we are about to take profits here. Going to cut out half the position, let the rest ride, but we just hit a 10%, so we're up $167 here. Again, we are absolutely not just crushing the pace on 1,000, 10,000, which on average took me usually about 3-4 months. We're on pace to do that within about 30 days. So if we keep up these trades, we keep crushing, executing on this, the power of compounding, it has been an absolute just banger in the Discord.
What number are you at right now? So you started at 1,000?
We started at 1,000. We're at about 2,000 right now after this trade. We'll close back right back to it. We hit 2,100 got stopped out twice, and then we're back up.
That's
So
great. And
it's
for those
kind
of you guys who have never tried to do anything like this, the beginning, like that 1,000 to, we were talking about this yesterday, that 1,000 to 2,500 ish, 3K ish sometimes is the hardest because you're very limited. You got to make big jumps early. And then you can kind of get more conservative from there. But no,
well, we have a rule. We only can't use past 20x. You have to have a 5% stop loss, and we just are playing, so it's even harder because
that's what I'm saying. That first getting the momentum going is the hardest part, and once you get it rolling, it can follow. So good job getting that going, having a lot of fun with everybody in the Discord. We're actually doing in about 20 minutes for those of you wanting to learn about DeFi and how to earn passively with DeFi. Obviously, we do a lot of day trading. We make good money with that, but we also make money earning yield on DeFi. We're going to be doing a workshop for some people in our community that want to learn about that here in about 20 minutes in the Discord. Link is in the chat and in the description. Get in there. It's money-making season, guys. Realistically, we've got plenty of time, but you can change your life in the next 6 months. Don't get sidelined. We just wanted to take a quick second to shout out our sponsor, Arculus. They are a cold storage hardware wallet, helps you secure all of your digital assets for the future. Just tap this thing to the back of your phone and boom, you're in. We wouldn't be able to do this without them, but also wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, the Disco fam. You've supported us a lot over the years. If you want to support the channel now, just use the code DC20. It gets you 20% off this card. It's the #1 way you can support this channel going forward. Thank you for your support. We'll see you at the top.